So if you guys saw my last video where I shot the Fuji Eterna 500T, well, I really liked that film. I thought it was pretty cool. So I set out to find some more, and I came across this Fuji Eterna 500T Vivid. And I couldn't really find very many results for this film online, so I couldn't really get an idea for what it looked like, but I found out that this was the film stock that was used to shoot the movie Black Swan. Here's the original ad for the film stock, and it's kind of got this little cheeky headline, looking for a new high, which I thought was kind of funny. And the film says, it's a high contrast, high saturation tungsten film stock, which offers excellent skin tones, crisp deep blacks, and intense color that pops right off the screen. This film has been cold stored in a freezer since it was brand new, so for the past 10 to 15 years, this film's been sitting in a freezer. So it's very well preserved, but I'm sure when it was actually brand new, it did look a little better. But all things considered, I think it came out really great. So getting right into the results, I went ahead and exposed the film at 400. I figured due to the age, it probably wasn't even worth shooting at 500, so I just went straight to 400, and I exposed for the shadow on the right bicep and exposed that at a zone 4. Another detail is that I didn't use a filter on these, so no 85B filter. This is a tungsten film, but it is a film that was designed for a digital intermediate, so it was designed to be scanned and then color corrected in the computer, so it's meant for that, and I think it works really well with this film. It does lean a little towards the cyan side, but in my opinion, it's not extremely cyan. This is with no correction applied, and I think it looks pretty much in the normal range, so it's perfectly suitable for shooting with no filter and then just color correcting in post. In regards to the colors in this film, looking at this image, I think the red and the blue have a nice saturation to them. The colors pop perfectly, and looking at the contrast, the shadows on the arm and the midtones and the highlights, there's a good balance and good contrast between everything. Since I knew this film has been cold stored since it was brand new, I shot quite a big variety of exposures because I wanted to see how well the shadow detail was able to keep up, and I was pretty impressed. Here the film is at a zone 3 for the shadow on the right bicep, and still looking really great on the shadow detail, not too muddy, still a good mid-tone, and the shadow detail looks really accurate. It doesn't look too underexposed. I'm pretty happy with this exposure as well. And then really pushing the film to its limits, here's the shadow on a zone 2, and great saturation in the film, really nice colors here. Still able to hold on to a mid-tone. Of course, the shadows are really deep, so those are very dark, but really impressive mid-tone still and some highlight detail. I think this film looks pretty outstanding. I did shoot overexpose as well, of course, just to see what it would look like, and this is definitely too much exposure. It's too bright of an image. This is with the shadows at a zone 5. But the saturation still looks surprisingly pretty good. The reds and the blues look really nice, and overall still a decent image, but this shows you if you went over a little bit, you could still hold on pretty well to the details. Now that we've had a good look at the shadow detail and the exposure capability of the film, here's a good look at a color chart so we can see how colors render on this film. This is a normal exposure, and the colors look a tiny bit soft, but overall I think good rendering of all the colors here. Here's the same color chart at a -1 exposure. And right here, the saturation of the colors looks really excellent. As far as shadow detail goes, probably a half stop more exposure than this would be perfect, but right here you can really get an idea for that color saturation. For this last one, we'll take a little bit of a closer look so we can see the grain and the sharpness. Sharpness looks good. Of course, sharpening can be applied. I think this looks okay. And for a faster film, the grain is really fine. It's not a super grainy film. I think this looks really good. Overall, I like this image a lot for just image quality. The brightness of the bottle and the kind of dark behind it and the dark developer inside, you get a nice feel for the tones in the film, and there's a really nice color saturation. I think it just looks really good. And then looking at it wider like this, the film's not super grainy for being a 500 speed. I think it looks really good. I forgot to mention this in the beginning of the video, but the film was developed in ECN2 chemistry. I had it developed by Midwest Film Co. I scanned the film myself, so those are my scans. They do have a really great scanner, and it's better. It's an actual cinema scanner, but I'm pretty happy with my scanner, so it looks okay. Overall, I'm really happy with this film. I'm glad I bought it. It's probably the last of this film stock on the planet. I know there was another 400-foot roll that I saw on eBay, but unfortunately somebody bought it before I can get it. I was looking at it, but I wasn't sure how this film looked, so I was hesitant to buy it just yet. And then as soon as I got my results back, the film had sold already, so I'm kind of bummed about that. So yeah, this is the last bit of this stock besides that one that's on the planet somewhere, and I'm pretty happy to have it. It looks great. I actually bought it to shoot for wrestling shows. I wanted something that nobody else had, something unique to shoot on wrestling, because wrestling is a really niche thing, so I thought it'd be cool to use for that. But it looks really good, and I think you can probably use it for a lot of different things. Anyway, what did you guys think of these images? Would this be a film that you'd be willing to try? And if you are, I am gonna sell some of this film. I bought like 1,700 feet of it, so I have quite a bit. I'm gonna sell a little bit of it just to get it out in the community so some people could have fun with it. It's definitely more film than I would shoot by myself, so you know, I figured why not. But anyway, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next time on The Negative.